Grease gave us pink jackets, summer nights, and a cast that defined cool. But behind the music and memories are stories marked by quiet heartbreak and tragic endings. With over 45 years gone, and a legacy that still shapes pop culture, here are the stars we loved, the lives we lost, and the actors who tragically passed away. Jeff Conaway was the cool, cocky Kaniki, leather jacket, swagger, and fast one-liners. But behind the slicked-back hair and tough talk was a man fighting a storm he couldn't quite outrun.
No, I'm not saying punking out, but I'm just... You know.
After Grease, Jeff stayed in the spotlight with roles in Taxi and Babylon 5. But the pressure of fame, mixed with chronic pain from a back injury, led him down a brutal path of addiction. He spent decades battling substance abuse, appearing on reality shows like Celebrity Rehab, where his struggles played out in real time. On May 27, 2011, Jeff passed away in Los Angeles at age 60. Officially, the cause was pneumonia with sepsis, but years of drug use had taken a heavy toll on his body and spirit. And speaking of loss that left fans worldwide reeling, no death hit harder than Olivia Newton-John's. On August 8, 2022, she died peacefully at her California ranch, surrounded by loved ones. She was 73.
Sandy? Tell me about it, stud.
Olivia lit up the screen as Sandy, but off-screen, she was a global music icon with hits like Physical and 4 Grammys. For over 30 years, she fought breast cancer with quiet strength, first diagnosed in 1992, then facing recurrences in 2013, and again in 2017 when it had spread to her spine. Even while undergoing treatment, she became a fierce advocate, founding the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Center in Melbourne. Her death marked the end of an era for fans of film, music, and a generation who grew up watching her twirl in that final scene. Remember Vince Fontaine, that fast-talking TV host with the slick hair and ever-present smirk? That was Ed Burns, who played the role to perfection. Long before Grease, Ed had already made his name as Kooky in the hit show 77 Sunset Strip. He was a teen idol in the late 50s, even releasing a chart-topping single. Though his fame dimmed in later decades, he never fully stepped away from the screen, continuing to act through the 80s and 90s.
Hello, welcome to National Bandstand, coming to you live from Rydell High School.
On January 8th, 2020, Ed died of a sudden stroke at his home in Santa Monica. He was 87. Unlike many of his co-stars, his passing was quiet. No headlines, no retrospectives. But his role as Fontaine remains burned into Grease's glittery, chaotic world. Another tragic date for Grease fans was June 22, 2008. That's when we lost Dodie Goodman, the voice of chaotic, scatterbrained comedy. She played Blanche, the principal's assistant, always fumbling with announcements and stealing scenes with just a flustered look. But long before Rydell High, Dodie was a staple of early TV variety shows, rising to fame as a comic sidekick on The Tonight Show, and later as the quirky neighbor on Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
Your father called. He wants you to call him back.
Her high-pitched voice and wild-eyed delivery became her signature. By the 2000s, she'd stepped away from acting. Dodie died in New Jersey from natural causes at age 93. The halls of Rydell haven't felt the same without Blanche's fluttering presence. Susan Buckner is a name many don't realize we've lost. She played sweet, bubbly Patty Simcox, the cheerleader with too much energy and not enough boundaries.
Well, I hope you'll be at cheerleader tryouts. We will have so much fun and get to be lifelong friends.
But Susan's talents stretched far beyond Rydell. A former Miss America contestant, she transitioned into acting and landed roles in shows like The Brady Bunch Variety Hour. After Grease, she stepped back from Hollywood, focusing on raising her children and living out of the limelight. News of her death came suddenly. Susan passed away on May 2, 2024, at the age of 72. Her cause of death wasn't publicly disclosed. For fans, it was a quiet, unsettling goodbye to someone who once brought unfiltered, relentless joy to every frame she was in. And how can we forget the smoldering Cha-Cha Di Gregorio, the best dancer at St. Bernadette's? That fierce energy came from Annette Charles, who brought attitude, poise, and fire to the dance floor. But behind the confident glare was an actress and educator with an entire second life outside of film.
They call me Cha-Cha, because I'm the best dancer at St. Bernadette's.
With the worst reputation.
After Grease, she earned a master's degree in psychology and became a professor at California State University, Northridge. In August 2011, Annette was hospitalized with pneumonia, but complications revealed a deeper issue. She was battling stage 4 cancer. She died on August 3rd, 2011, at the age of 63. Her passing came just months after Jeff Conaway's, a painful double blow for fans still grieving the original cast. August 20th, 1994. That was the day Dennis C. Stewart, Grease's unforgettable Leo Crater face Balmudo, lost his battle with AIDS-related complications. He was just 46. You wouldn't know it watching him strut across the screen, all menace and bravado, leading the Scorpions against the T-Birds.
We've been friends a long time, right? Yeah.
But in real life, Dennis kept a much lower profile. While Grease and its sequel Grease 2 remain his most iconic roles, he also appeared in shows like Hunter and Knots Landing. Unlike many of his co-stars, Dennis never became a household name, and in the final years of his life, he quietly disappeared from the public eye. And speaking of scene stealers, Sid Caesar was a legend long before he ever stepped into Coach Calhoun's whistle. The 1950s belonged to him, thanks to your show of shows, where writers like Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner got their start under his chaotic genius. Grease was a blip in his towering career, but it cemented him for a new generation.
You're gonna love this restaurant.
Well, you know, love, I'm hungry. I want to eat a good dinner, and you take me here. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to eat here.
For all his brilliance, though, Sid struggled with depression and addiction in the 60s, retreating from the spotlight before staging a return in the 1980s. He lived a long life, longer than many of his castmates, and died of natural causes on February 12th, 2014, at 91. His passing felt like the curtain closing on a whole era of comedy itself. Then there's Alice Ghostley, who, unlike Caesar, always seemed to operate quietly in the background. She passed away on September 21st, 2007, from colon cancer and complications from a stroke.
Why are you wearing your Christmas tree skirt?
Well, this is the skirt you gave me for Christmas.
She was 81. In Grease, she played Mrs. Murdoch, the auto shop teacher who watched on while the boys wrecked their car and their egos. Her delivery was dry, her timing razor sharp. Decades earlier, she'd made her mark on Broadway, winning a Tony for the sign in Sidney Brustein's Window. She spent most of her life in supporting roles, whether in Bewitched or designing women, never loud, but always present. A quiet exit from someone who made her living on quiet power. John Lansing's name isn't always the first people remember, but his contribution to Grease was there in plain sight. He played one of the T-Birds, a greaser among the gang who hovered in the background, but still carried the Rydell spirit. Outside of Grease, Lansing found steady work on television, appearing in series like Simon and Miami Vice, later becoming a producer and director. His work behind the camera began to define the second half of his career. Sadly, Lansing died on December 24th, 2018.
Preferably linen. He hasn't bought anything in about 4 hours. He's starting to get dizzy.
Though the exact cause wasn't made widely public, his passing was confirmed by industry colleagues. It was a quiet farewell, but another reminder of how many familiar faces from Grease are no longer with us. 12 lives, 12 goodbyes, and a film that still echoes decades later. Grease gave them immortality and gave us a story we've never stopped singing.